Welcome to today's function focus. I am just going to be waiting a little bit just so other people can join. There is a lot of attendees today, so I just want to make sure that everyone has time to join the call, and then I'll go through a bit of an introduction before kicking off. Excellent. Got lots of people attending. Fantastic. Okay, so today, my name is Sam. I'm one of the customer success managers for Sage People. In today's function focus, we are going to go through how to get ready for WX 2.0. Now, this will include key changes to the WX navigation and homepage, and that is including amending your internal communications to the new supported tile types. And we're also going to go through configuring the new homepage components with the likes of the time off overview and also the external link widgets. Finally, we will take a brief look at how to get the best out of your HR portal with the likes of the Lightning App Builder. Now, today's session, as like every function focus, will be recorded, and this will go up onto the Sage University and the Sage People community in the next couple of days, so definitely look out for that. Now, before we get started with the content of today's session, I would like to just go over a few items. So if you're looking for computer, phone, audio options, please do download the handout that is in the control panel to the right of your screen. There is also a mobile app for iOS and Android, and this is also included within that handout. Finally, you can submit questions throughout the function focus by typing into the question pane. We will be pausing periodically throughout the webinar to answer those questions. Again, any questions that we cannot answer on the webinar, we will upload all questions and answers with the recording to Sage University and the community, but also do feel free to reach out directly to your customer success manager for any queries or questions you have. Now, kicking straight off, I would love to hand over to Lucy Albon to go through today's content for today.
Thank you, Sam. So we've got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to dive straight in and I'm going to share my screen for one of my trialogues. So hopefully everyone can see that. Please shout if you can't in the chat. So on the left-hand side, I thought it'd be useful to start with the old look and feel WX, just so that I can point out the key differences in the change in the WX navigation. So if you can see where my cursor is here, you can see in the old version of WX, we had a My Organization bar, and here you could click search for anyone in your organization and also view your team. Now you'll notice this does not appear within the new WX navigation, but we do have a search bar at the top of the page. This is where you can search for anyone in the organization by simply typing, and then they will populate, similar to this search bar here. Now, because your direct reports have disappeared from the My Organization bar, we have created this My Team WX service, and this is where you can easily navigate to your team members. So you can see I've got my direct reports here, my cross reports here, and you can also jump straight into any processes relating to your team, for example, the absence. Previously, you had the burger menu, as I like to call it, and then you had a team section down here. So now it's kind of all encompassing in an attempt to make it a lot easier to navigate. So apart from that, the other key changes are our action bell has moved from the top of the screen to the left-hand side here. And then also you've got small black dots next to the WX services that have actions against them. So that's pretty much it for the key changes. You've also got a section for the organization chart and skills search if you're using it here. But it's pretty simple. I'd say the key changes to point out to your employees are the left-hand pane and the few items I ran through there. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm just going to jump back to my slides to show you the overview of the changes. So here I've pointed out the key elements, and this is with the WX navigation, which is going on in this release 23.4. But you can still toggle it off if you're not ready for it for whatever reason. But what I will say is it's going to be going on by default. You won't be able to toggle it off in the 24.1 release, so we do want to encourage you to start using it now. So hopefully that's clear. And then the next item I was going to jump onto is the new WX homepage, which is when we get into the really exciting stuff. So if you just bear with me, I'm just going to jump back to a slightly different trialog that has a new homepage enabled. Hopefully you can see that screen now with the new homepage. So this is in an open beta phase. So what that means is it's not general availability right now. It's not being toggled on by default in your orgs as the WX navigation is, but it will be toggled on by default in the next release, so 24.1. And then the plan is the release after that, you won't be able to toggle it off. So you do need to start moving to the new homepage, and hopefully there won't be too many reasons why you wouldn't, because it should be an improvement for your end users. So just to talk through some of the key changes on the homepage, you now have a configurable title and subtitle on your carousel, which is the next section, which is replacing the existing tiles in the WX. So these are aimed to give the user interface a bit more of a modern look and feel, I'd say. I think we got a lot of feedback from customers that the tiles were a little outdated. So you can scroll across, see different tiles, and then we've also got this new exciting time off overview, which is to kind of bring in some more widgets, and it shows you your next upcoming leave, your vacation balance, and the next public holiday, which is quite nice. And you can also click directly into your absence calendar. We've also introduced an external links widget, so you can easily link across to different platforms, and you could even use this with static resources if you wanted to link to a specific important policy in this area. And then we've designed the system so it comes with some key icons. So you've got your social media platform icons like LinkedIn, and some also more generic icons as well. And they will default in your org colors. So mine's set to a dark green. So my widgets are coming up in a dark green, unless they're specific branded ones like the LinkedIn badge that would still show in blue. So the last part we've got is the new look and feel of the summary processes. So this is where you've got your starters, your birthdays, your work anniversaries. You could show team members with recognition here. And it's pretty similar to how it was before, but it's just a new look and feel. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm just going to jump back to my slides. Again, show you the overview of what's changed on the WX homepage. So just to jump onto this slide before I go into the configuration, appreciate it's a bit information heavy, but it's just there as an FYI really when we're doing this configuration. So in the WX 2.0 homepage, there are some supported and unsupported tile types. So when we say tile types, we mean the front cover of the tile, not the detail that sits behind it. The detail pages are all still fine and work as they did before. But with the tile covers, it no longer likes the rich text tile type being used, the external websites, the HTML, or the KYP game. So all that means is if you've got rich text, say as a tile cover, then you're best uploading that to an image or an image click-through. Whilst you could do an image with some text on it, if that's how your rich text is currently configured, it probably wouldn't look as good anyway, as I'll show you as we start to go through the configuration. I've also included on the right-hand side the image specifications that we recommend for your images on the carousel. don't worry too much about taking note of that. It is on our release notes, and we'll also be uploading these slides with the recording so you can capture all this information then. So I'm just going to jump back to my trialog, and I'm going to go to my really old one that has the completely old WX on, so I can just switch everything on. So here I am in my Leo HR trial. It's very basic. I do apologize because there's a few different elements to this configuration. I've tried to use a different trialog where I can completely start from scratch. So I'm going to jump to the HR portal now so that I can start my configuration. So first of all, I'm going to go into my installed package via setup. In the quick find on the left, all you need to do is search for installed packages. And then I'm going to find my human capital management package here, and I'm going to click configure to the left of this. Then if you scroll down, there should be a section called features, and the two at the bottom are the ones we're interested in. So the WX navigation, what I showed you at the beginning of this webinar, that will be toggled on for your org by default in this release. So you probably don't need to toggle that on, but if your org is in the later phase of the release and you want to turn it on sooner than that, you can come here, and if you check this box, it will turn it on for your whole organization. And then I'm also going to do that for the home page. Again, you don't have to do this right now if you're not ready, but I definitely recommend turning it on in your sandbox so you can start to have a play with your images and get a feel for the new home page and how that works. So I'm just going to save that, and just to point it out as well, if you wanted to turn on the home page for a specific policy to trial this for a period, you could also turn it on at policy level. So to do that, you jump to your 9.app launcher here, search for policies, find the policy you want to turn it on for. So for example, UK. Then if you scroll to the bottom, there should be a WX section, workforce experience. Why can't I find it? Ah, there we go, sorry. Went to the wrong section. That's why I love a Control F when you're on the policy page, because there's so many settings. So yeah, here you've got a updated WX homepage checkbox on the policy and an updated WX navigation checkbox as well. So now, before we jump into the WX 2.0 with the new navigation and homepage enabled, we just need to ensure the WX service type is set to homepage. This is so we can ensure the new time off widget will appear. So if you go to your 9 dots and go to WX services, I'm then going to click on company communications, as this is my main homepage WX service. And then you'll be able to see I've got this new field here called service type. So yours will probably default to none. And then you can switch it to the homepage type and then click save. So now the new homepage should appear. So let's just check that out. So you can see I've got my carousel tiles. One of my images with the text doesn't look too good. It gets covered with the bottom of the carousel. Don't know if you noticed as well, I also had a CEO message as one of my tiles, which has now disappeared. The reason that's disappeared is because it's one of those unsupported tile types I mentioned earlier. So we'll need to amend that to add it back in. I've got my time off widget. So this will automatically appear as long as you're on the latest release, which is this 23.4 release, and you've got the home page toggled on, and absence is available for the policy of the team member. So I've got that, and then I've got an overview here down the side. I've got no external links widgets, and I've got this title, company communications here. I might want to change it to something else. So first of all, I'm going to go look at my images. So if I jump back to my HR portal, I'm going to click on my 9.app launcher and search for my internal communications. And then I can change my list view to show all of them, always worth doing. So I've got my company policies here, which is this one that doesn't look too nice. So what I'm going to do is edit this. And then I'm just going to upload a whole image here. Now, if I save that, just going to have a quick refresh of my WX because I like to see it update as I go. And there I can see that looks much better. So the last one I need to sort is my CEO message. So I'm just going to find that in my internal communications. Again, 9 dots can always access anything, so I'm always clicking on this to navigate to my internal communications. You might have it as a quick access tab along the top as well. So here's my CEO message. I'm going to edit this. And again, you can see the tile type is rich text, which is now unsupported. So I'm going to change that to image and then upload a file. I'm going to try Steve's face like this. I don't think it will look too good because of the dimensions of it. So that's worth considering when updating your images. But I'm going to give it a go and see how it looks. So now I've got a third one that's appeared. Again, that image doesn't look too good, so I'd need to change the dimensions, get a photo of Steve that's not so zoomed in. Unfortunately, I don't have one, so I'm going to leave it like that for the purpose of this demonstration, but hopefully that just gives you an example of the tile type making a big difference. We would recommend that you start to update your tile types now, even if you're not using the new homepage. So if you go to your internal communications again, what you can do is you can sort the list view by the tile type, see anything that's one of the unsupported tile types and go through and amend them, because it's good to get ready. And we have seen some speed issues since this this update has gone in. So if you update your tile types, that should solve any problems that you may have. So that's that piece. The other thing I was going to point out is if I scroll down on the bottom right of the screen, my logo has a weird white background now. So again, I'm not going to go through updating that today just because of time, but it might be something you want to look at and check if you're happy with the look and feel of it. We've got a really comprehensive guide on how to update this logo on the Help Center, and I'm going to put the details in the documentation, the link to that with the recording, so you'll be able to access that really easily. So the next thing I want to do is update this title because I don't like it. But now also there is the option to add a subtitle here. But what you need to do first is make these fields editable on your WX service object. So if I jump back to the HR portal and I go to my 9 dots and go to WX services. As some of you will probably know, the WX services are the tabs that are down the side. And if I click into my company communications tab, then I've got no option here, which is where it should be, to update my title and subtitle. Right, so now I'm in my WX service object. I can go into edit object straight away. If you're not in that object and click edit object, it will take you to the object you're in. So if not, you can click on object manager and search for WX service and jump into it that way. So if I go to my page layout now on the WX service object, click into the category layout, I can see I've got two new fields here, service page title, service page subtitle. So I'm just going to drag them down to my page. Doesn't really matter where, I'm going to put it in this information section, and then I'm going to save that. That looks like it's done, so I'm just going to refresh this page now, and they should appear. There we go, here they are. So where this is saying company communications, I'm going to say welcome, and then I'm going to, in the subtitle, say welcome to Leo HR. Not very creative, but hopefully you get the idea. So let's save that, and then I'm going to give this a refresh again. There we go. You can see I've got welcome and welcome to Leo HR. So hopefully lots you can do with that, and you can be a lot more creative than me. So if I go back to my company communications page, I mentioned earlier we've got our service type set to homepage. All your other WX services will be set to standard, other than the profile, which is new functionality, which I'll go over shortly. So the other thing we're missing is the external links widget, which I think will be really, really popular. So I need to go in and configure that. But before I do, I need to go and make another field available. So I'm going to go into setup. And then I'm going to go to my object manager at the top. And then I'm this time going to search for my internal communication object. So this one here. And then I'm going to go to my fields and relationships. And then there is a field called tile type. Lots of scrolling there. I thought it wasn't going to be there and show me up, but it is, thank God. So yeah, tile type here. We're going to click into this. And then here you can see I've got options for rich text, etc. But we need to create a new one for the external links. So all you do is click new just above the values here. And then you literally need to enter the text called quick link, exactly as that is, no other way, it won't work. Again, this is in the release notes, so you can just copy and paste it, which is what I always like to do to be sure. So I'm going to then click save. And now I've got my quick link internal communication type. So now my next job is to create the internal communication. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a new WX process and communication at the same time, just because it's a bit easier. So if I go to new WX process on my company communication service, and I'm going to give this a label. So I'm going to call this SharePoint, because I want to link through to that. I'm going to give it an order of 10. The order works the same way as other communications. It's all relative to one another. So something doesn't have to be 1 to go first. If it's 100, but the first number in the sequence, then it will still show up first. The order of the external widgets are always in relation to each other as well, so you don't need to worry too much about the widgets, although I won't repeat numbers just because it's best to keep them separate. So WX process type, I'm going to choose internal communication. But because I've not created one, I can't search for it. I'm just going to click new to the right here. And I'm going to also call this SharePoint. And then this is where I can select my new tile type of a quick link. And then I can insert the website URL. So I'm just going to go to my SharePoint. If I can find it, copy the link, jump back. Oh, sorry, find the wrong tab. Paste that in there. And then this is where I can choose my icons. So a lot of generic icons at the top. And then if you scroll down, we can get into our more branded ones. So I'm just searching for SharePoint. MS SharePoint, there it is. And then I can see the icon appear. So there's lots you can play with. Just have a quick flick through. So you've got generic icons, as I mentioned, but I will jump back to my MS SharePoint, and then I'm going to click Save. So if I jump back to my WX portal, give that a refresh. And then it appears to the right-hand side. So definitely lots you can do there. I'm only going to show adding one for the example of this webinar, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of what you need to do. So I'm going to jump back because I have a couple of example screenshots of the homepage screen. So I've included in these slides, which we're going to upload, as I mentioned, to the community in Sage University, a screenshot of my newer trial because I think it's quite a nice example of how your homepage could look. We've also had a couple of screenshots of the carousel from Ocado very kindly, so you can see what they've done with some amazing images and things. What I will say is we've got customers that are always asking for inspiration on what to add to the WX and what types of internal communications to use. So if you're doing anything amazing, you think it looks really good, you've had your marketing team on the WX, or you've got someone really talented in HR that can do this stuff, and you're happy to share the screenshots, please do share them. You can either send it to our customer success email or directly to your customer success manager. And obviously, if you've got anything company sensitive, we can redact it, but we'd love to build up a bit of a library on the community, especially now we've got the new homepage and the new navigation. So I'm just going to pause there. I don't know if Sam is back now, but Sam, did you have any questions? Are you there, Sam?
Lucy, can you hear me? This is Ruby.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. I think Sam is having some technical issues.
No
is
problem.
it okay if I read some questions?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Ruby. Thanks for jumping in.
No problem. The first one is, how can I turn off skill search? It isn't showing. How can I turn off skill search? It isn't showing in my WX services on the back end.
Turn it off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. You're testing me now. I'm pretty sure it's in the policy settings, but I'm just going to double check my trial log while we're talking.
That's okay. We can always come back to anything if we are unable to respond.
Yeah, I'll have a quick look now. It'll only take me a second.
Sure, thank you.
Skills. No, I can't see it. We'll come back to you on that one.
Okay, that's fine. We can come back. So let's go to the next one. Is from will there be information about the size of the new tiles?
Yes, so hopefully I answered that one. So the question might have been asked beforehand, but I'll just jump back a couple of slides. I've included the overview here on the right-hand side of the screen, but it's also in the release notes on the community. So I'm going to link to that as well, so it's really clear.
Thank you. Next question. Oh, I recognize some names. Hi, Abiola. For the tiles on the homepage, how do we display the information in other languages?
Yeah, so probably be easier to bring up my screen. Bear with me. I'm just going to swap my screen share. So you should have your language options down the bottom. So you should be able to change those settings. If it's a text field though, it doesn't always translate if it's not a proper field within the system. So you might need to have a play with having different tiles for different countries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Lucy. We can put that in writing when we publish these question and answers on the Sage University.
Great, thanks, Ruby.
I think you covered this, but I'll just read the question. So one of the customers cannot see the time off widget. Did you show the example how to switch this on in the new WX 2.0?
For the time off widget, you need to have the new homepage enabled, be on the latest release, so have your org upgraded to the 23.4, which I believe it's done for the latter half of the alphabet by now. And then also, I'll share my screen again. It will be on. If you go to your WX services, find your one for your homepage. So mine is called Company Communications. Then you'll need to make sure the service type is listed as a homepage type. So I'd give that a go. If you get stuck or have any problems, then feel free to either log a support case or reach out to your customer success manager and we can have a look.
Yeah, so another question is from Miriam. Are we obliged to activate homepage navigation? And I think, Lucy, you answered that question by saying it's not mandatory yet, but after 24.1, you won't be able to turn it off. So
yes.
If you, yeah, because
Sorry,
she said last time she turned it on, it mixed everything up. I guess you have to check that all the tiles are, in the right formatting, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that I'd always turn it on in your sandbox first, but you've just got to remember there's two parts to this WX update. So I'll just skip back on my slides. I'm just going to check I'm sharing them. So you've got the navigation, which is the menu on the left, basically as a high level overview. And then you've got the home page, which is with the carousel and the widgets. So this navigation is going on by default in orgs at the moment, but you can still toggle it off. As of 24.1, our next release, this will be, you won't be able to toggle it off again. You're going to need to go with this. And then the home page is kind of a release behind, I'd say. So this is not on by default, but you can switch it on if you like. But it will be toggled on by default in the 24.1 release, and then mandatory the release after is the plan at the moment. So hopefully that makes sense, but just remember there's two parts to it, because I think it can cause a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. Just checked my sandbox and the time off widget is not showing up. I believe our sandbox should be on the latest release. Is that not the case? So Iona, depending, we started the sandbox release should have all happened. If you were opted in, then your sandbox should be upgraded. I believe the latest release for WX navigation, I don't know the number, but it's 41.5 for the HCM piece.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind checking with your CSM that you are on the, that your sandbox was opted in for the latest upgrade, then you can turn on and have a play in the sandbox. Anything else you want to add, Lucy?
No, that's perfect, Ruby.
Yeah.
Ruby, I was just going to say, I've still got
Yeah.
a section to cover just on the profile, which shouldn't
Of
take
course.
too long, but I don't know if it's worth jumping to that, and then we can come back to questions if we have time at the end. And if we don't get time, we can publish the answers on the community.
Yeah, regardless, we will publish all the answers anyway. So thanks for pointing that out, Lucy. I'll let you carry on.
Cool, no problem. Apologies. So I'm just going to skip through my slides again. So the other thing we've got with this update is a new My Profile section. So this is designed to bring in your personal details, your emergency contacts, and your work details. For now, in the future, we might expand that. And the idea is it's trying to make it a bit easier for your end user to navigate between information relating to them, and it doesn't use up so many tabs down the left-hand side. So you're no longer having to have one for personal details, one for work details, etc. So again, this does require a little bit of configuration, but not too much. So if I just jump back into my Trilog, there we go. Hopefully you can see that again now. So what you need to do to enable the new profile is, again, if you go back to your company communications, your WX services, sorry, 9 dots and WX services, then what you can do is create a new WX service called My Profile. Again, it doesn't have to be called exactly that, but we recommend that. And then give it an order. Apologies, I forget the rest of my orders. I'm just going to recheck this. So I'm going to give mine a number of 15 to slot in after company communications. And then this is where we use our service type, which is the new field, and we give it the profile service type. And then we don't need the subtitle and things. So if I just save that, apologies, moving my screens around. So right, let's go back to the WX. We'll need to add our WX processes here as well, but I just want to see if you add nothing, what it does, because always a good test. So yeah, it won't show. So what we need to do is go back to our profile WX service and add our WX processes. So like I say, right now this is limited to personal details. So you'd add in your label, give it an order, and then select your process type as personal details. Here it is. It's quite simple. You don't need to fill in too many fields. Save that. And then I'm just going to add my work details as well. And then again, we just search for work details on our process type. So label, order, process type. Now, I'm not going to do the emergency contacts, just conscious of time, but it'd be exactly the same. And then your process would be emergency contacts instead. Now we can see my profile has appeared. No, I've still got my personal details and work details services, so I might want to deactivate those. But let's just have a look at the My Profile page. This trialog is actually quite basic. So what I'm going to do is jump you to my newer trialog, just because it will look a little bit nicer. Here's one I made earlier in true Blue Peter style. So yeah, here you can see personal detail information. We've got a nice HR notice board here as well for GDPR notice, which is quite a nice touch. Then I can navigate through to work details and then also to emergency contacts. So here I have still got a work details tab, but it's more to do with you've got your job descriptions and things under there. So you might want to think about your naming conventions. You might not like having work details here and work details here. You might want to rename this employment information or something, for example. So just to quickly talk you through getting rid of any information that you've got already, you can, apologies, got too many tabs open, go back to your WX services, find, say, your personal details service, and then you could deactivate the actual personal details process, which is what we're duplicating. Simple uncheck. And then if I just jump back, then I could even decide to rename this personal information. I'm sure you'll all have much better ideas than me. Oh, and now I've got to select my service type. If it's not a profile or a home page, it's going to be standard. So just going to save that. So that's as simple as it is to remove those processes. You could think about how you want to structure this. It might change going forwards. Then if I just jump back to my nice shiny trial, if you go to edit any of the information in the profile page, you've got this pencil icon here, and then you've got inline editing, so you can easily update it, whereas before it opened out a new window. So it's just trying to remove extra screens if they're not necessary. So that is it for WX 2.0 to date. Next year, we're definitely going to be updating this further. We're going to be looking at one-page performance and things, so lots of exciting things coming. What I would say is it's worth getting on our WX 2.0 group in the customer community, and I'm going to add a link to that in the handout too, just so that you can sign up for any updates, see what's happening with the WX 2.0. I'm just going to see if I can jump to it now. So yeah, on the customer community, if you just navigate from help and support into groups, we've got beta workforce experience. So I definitely join that and sign up for alerts so you can see what's coming. Now, just to jump back to my screen, the last part of this webinar, which I'm going to cover quite briefly, is going to be just to touch base on the Lightning App Builder. So Obviously, everything we've talked about there is for the employees, and I know a lot of you may be thinking, what about us in HR? What's coming for us? And whilst we may be looking at things for next year for the HR portal, we thought it'd be worth pointing out Lightning App Builder. So this has been around for a little while now. I think some of our newer customers will have this configured quite nicely, have nice dashboards at the front, have all their relevant related lists and recent records available to navigate to. But some of our customers that have been with us a little longer, they might not have a cohesive front screen and a home page. So I'm not going to go through this today just because of time, but again, I'm going to upload a link to a top tip we produced on your Lightning App Builder homepage, so you can have a look at maybe improving this for yourselves too. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. And then the other thing is the Lightning App Builder for the record pages. So there's some really nice things you can do with the record pages. One of my favorites is being able to display a country icon for local information. I think that's quite a nice visual if you operate in multiple countries. The tabs to group key information. So some of you who may be using the related list quick link screen at the top here, sometimes it can be difficult to find your different absence related lists and things. Whereas if you're on your employment record, you could have an absence specific section and navigate to your absence bookings, your accrual balances, your absence adjustments and things, and it can look quite neat and tidy. The other thing we see is the rich text banner at the top, so you can easily point out if someone's a leaver. That can be quite nice too. So again, that's our latest top tip that my colleague has just produced for the record pages. So we're going to be uploading that to the community shortly. And again, with the recording, I'll link you to the instruction manual for that page if you want to give this a go too. So that is it for the content of the webinar. So Ruby, I don't know if you want to jump back to any last questions.
We have lots of amazing questions, Lucy, but we will try and cover a couple more, and then I think we'll take the rest away, answer them in detail. Some of them are a little bit more how to turn things on. I know we have displayed this information in our release notes. However, I think it's good to point out the links again to make it easy for our customers to get to that information.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'll just see. There's quite a few questions about time off tiles, which we have covered. I know you showed a list of all those icons. One customer is asking if there will be ability to upload custom icons. I think it's just a list for now, isn't it?
Yeah, for now, it's just the icons we're given. I don't know if there's any plans for the future to change that, but what I will say is logging that idea on the customer ideas portal would be a great place to start, so we can get that in front of our product team for development if it's something you really want to see.
Yeah, so this is a question from two customers. If you could, one of you could raise it, the other one can vote on it.
Yeah.
We can look into it. Will the tiles still work with static resources from the setup side? So
static resources are still there. You could use a static resource as an external link if you wanted to link through to, like, say, a specific policy on that page. With the tiles, you can link through to them, but what I'd say is you'd have an image or an image click through as your tile type, and then the detail could be the external website link to the document, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. I think in your example, you showed multiple links appearing in the external box. So it's being asked, you can have more than 3. Your example showed 3. Will multiple links appear in the same external link box? I think the answer is yes. Because in your example, you showed 3 different links in that box.
Yes, in the external links box. Yeah, so you can have You can have
multiple.
multiple external links. Yeah, I only configured
Yeah.
one just in the interest of time, but you can do more.
You can do more. Sorry, I've seen more than one, but I wouldn't do 10 or 20 or 30 just to keep it neat and tidy. And nice to
Yeah.
have 5 or 6 that are relevant for employees to access. You can have multiple. Great, thank you. Let's just scroll down a little bit more. Just bear with me. How do you set up summary process section on the home page? I believe you presented that.
So I didn't actually present that just because it's the same as you would do it before. So what I'll do is I'll make sure in our helpful links, I'll include the link on how to set up summary processes. But if they're already in place, then they will pull through to the new look and feel. But again, I'm sure your customer success manager will be happy to help with that if you wanted a little walkthrough too, but I'll make a note to dig out to that resource.
Thank you. This is an interesting question. Will it still be possible to use animated images in HR notice board?
Oh, good question. I've not tried it. I know you can
I
definitely
have,
use the animated
yeah.
images in the actual tile because I've tried that, but I've not tried it in a HR notice board. I'm not aware that you can't, but give it a test in your sandbox and see how you get on and let us know.
Yeah, so the questions around images and the sizes, will answer those and add the right links so you know which banner, which pages, what sizes you need. So we'll attach those links for you to these specific questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How much? Okay, we have a little bit more time. So are you able to customize the external links so they can only be shared with specific policies?
Yes, you will be able to. It's not something I played with because I did a bit of a quick creation of the internal communication, but because the external links are in fact an internal communication, again, you can navigate to your internal communication advanced settings and then filter in or out by policy as you would normally. And again, we can include a link to setting up internal communications if you want to delve into that a bit further.
Yeah, I think a lot of customers are struggling with why their time off is not appearing in WX. I think it's something we can direct them to how to do that with step-by-step guide, or if it's not clear in the release notes, maybe we can revisit that part.
Yep.
This
Of course,
appeared
yeah.
4 or 5 times, so we should do that. Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely happy to do that. I struggled with it when I first tried, but that was me. I didn't upgrade my time package to the latest release. But if your org has been upgraded, it will have been, so it won't be that issue. So yeah, we'll have a look and we'll be in touch with some further instructions.
Yeah, and this question has come up a few times as well. Will this version be mobile responsive?
Oh, good question.
I haven't tested it.
No, I haven't either. I'm not sure if mobile responsive, if you mean it will be in the mobile app or is in if you're in the web
Yes,
browser in the mobile.
I think it's mobile responsive is that it will show in the mobile app.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't tested, but I'm sure it will be, but we can go away
it
and
will
find out.
be. Yeah, we can find out. Okay, sounds good. So we'll wrap up with a few more questions. Really good questions, and a lot of them this time. Okay, I'll pick on one last question. It's just a lot, and then you can wrap up. I've just created my profile within the WX, and it pulled through 3 processes, but other 2 aren't being displayed. I've created them in the same way. Any ideas?
So,
Jen,
go
would
on,
be
Ruby.
hard to. Sorry, I'm not sure we can investigate this on a call. But do you have any tips you want to mention or
sorry, coughing. Yeah. What I would say is check that under your profile you've only got the personal details, work details, or emergency contacts. They're the only ones that it should pull through. It's not designed to work with anything else yet. So I just check that those WX processes are there. And then double check that your My Profile WX service type is set to profile. But yeah, that's all I can think of immediately off the top of my head, but we can investigate that.
Yeah, so the three
Might be
have
worth
pulled
raising
through
a
could
case.
be those through. Yeah, or just have a quick chat with your CSM on your next call. Otherwise, yeah, we can look through with support. So we just have 4 minutes left. So I'll let you wrap up, Lucy. We will answer all these questions. And if you haven't heard your question, please don't worry. Once we've answered, we will be publishing them with this recording in a couple of days.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruby. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully that was a useful webinar for you. Hopefully I didn't go through anything too quickly, but there's quite a lot to cover. But as Ruby said, we're going to publish this all on the community and Sage University. We're going to release some useful links, as well as the slides I've used today as well. So hopefully that will cover everything, but please do reach out to your customer success manager if you've got any further questions. I think the only thing I want to finish with is just remember that WX navigation is different to the WX homepage. The navigation is going on by default as we speak. The homepage won't go on by default until the next release 24.1. So just want to make that really clear. Although they're related, they are two separate things. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, but any questions, let us know. Thank you for joining.
And Lucy, before you go, do you want to mention because so much is happening, do you want to mention our new next function focus is also a very important one on the PMW transition?
Yeah, good shout, Ruby. Yeah, so our next function focus will be about the migration from HR requests to people management workflows. And by HR requests, we mean the functionality the managers use in the WX when submitting a change. So if they see one form for every change they submit, then we're deprecating that and moving everyone to PMWs where they can submit they can be presented with different fields for different change types. So if you're doing a job change, you might be presented with a certain field. You might have another request type for just a manager change that's just got the manager name field in it. So our next webinar will be walking you through that and how you can transition from HR request to people management workflows. But the HR requests in the back end in the HR portal still exist, still stays the same as well, because that can cause a little confusion. The date for that one, I cannot remember off the top of my head. Apologies, Ruby.
That's okay. We will publish it on the community portal, so just keep an eye on it and register for it.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to mention the topic that is quite important one as well to join. Absolutely.
Perfect. Oh, Sam has just prompted me. It's the 14th of December. So make sure you're there for that one, as Ruby said. And we will, as a customer success team, email that out to our customers as well with the registration link.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks, Ruby. Thanks, everyone, for joining.